Hey, what's up? Vrchat just got its first horror game named Stillwoods Execution, and I'm here to talk about it. So let's go do that.
Stillwoods Execution is a PvP sound-based asymmetrical horror game with a blind player as the hunters and survivors needing to escape while remaining quiet, being inspired by In Silence, Dead by Daylight, and other asym games that I'm familiar with, like Forsaken and Bite by Night. This is awesome, as I love these types of games, and seeing a game like it on VRChat is super cool, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Before I get to my personal opinions, my praises, and what I think could be tweaked, I'll explain to you how this game is played on both survivor and killer sides, so we can both come to our own opinions. Starting off with the survivors and how they work. Survivors' objectives are pretty similar to other games in the genre. Don't die to the killer and complete the current objective. What is slightly different to this game is that the objectives and the survivor classes you get are random between each round. I'll talk more about the randomness later in the video. Bunker escape, finding codes around the map to unlock a bunker. Destroy the gore nests being my favorite one. That, sums up to something like this.
Jump him! Jump him! Come on, come in the jumping! Jump him! Yeah!
Breaking those nests around the map, then after all of them are broken, you're able to actually kill the killer, which is always really fun. And then a simple survive till 6 in the morning, nice and easy. Just like classic asym shit. It is important for survivors to stay as quiet as possible, running around doing tasks, because if they're too loud, the killer will be able to see their location with a small little blip, which is bad. Survivors also have access to distractions that confuse the killer, like phones, radios, and alarm clocks producing a lot of noise, sending blips out to random spots that usually they're not in. These are important because 2 hits is all the killer really needs to kill a survivor. Survivors can also find items around the map to help them survive, similar to other asym games. These items are incredibly good and essential to have and use properly to ensure they don't get slaughtered immediately by those killers. A medkit healing back a hit and preventing a death marker from proccing his effect. I'll talk about death marker later. A flashlight that slows down the killer. A quote-unquote adrenaline shot giving a speed boost and a repair boost. A flashbang which stuns the killer and blinds them. And a walkie-talkie that works like a walkie-talkie. While most of these items are pretty self-explanatory, the flashlight is a bit of a confusing item, so I'm going to go a bit more into detail here. The flashlight is actually super strong because the killers are very fast in this game, but it's only strong if you know what you're doing. The flashlight to me acts like the security class, or specifically the taser from Bite by Night if you ever played that game. It's only effective if you are somewhat close to the killer and it slows them down heavily. It really counteracts the speed they get, but it requires you to be really close to that killer. The killer also knows when they're being hit by the flashlight, so you got to be careful when to use the item. But again, when you know how to use this item, it can really save teammates in a pinch. Now all the survivor stuff is out of the way, we could talk about killers. Yay! All killers are nearsighted, almost being blind. I'm talking like you get 3 feet of vision and that's it. The killers can find survivors by the sound they make and by using their echolocate ability that all killers have access to. It can make you see farther and move faster, and it's huge for when you know somebody's nearby, but you're not sure exactly where they are. Depending on what class of killer you are, you'll have different ways to hunt, hurt, or kill the survivor. All killers can hurt the survivor by just running into them, and the gameplay can be summed up by using your abilities, listening to survivor chatter, and using those little visual blips to get a good idea of where the survivor is. In my opinion, it can be pretty disorienting at first playing killer, but when you play more rounds, you kind of get used to being blind as a bat. Killers, as I mentioned before, also have classes just like the survivor. Killers in its release version has 6 classes, but unfortunately, because the game just came out, I only really have 4 out of the 6, so I'll make a follow-up when I have more of them. Starting off with the killer classes, we have the Mole, who gets a speed boost with his echolocation ability and his ability to dig holes to teleport around to. He's pretty decent. And I think he could be really, really good once you have proper hole placement. Being able to teleport around the map is quite a strong ability, but I'm kind of stupid, so I wasn't really able to utilize that. But I feel like if people can main the killer, it'd be pretty strong. Moving on to the next class, we have the Hunter, who has a passive to track blood trails after you hurt a survivor, the ability to place bear traps, fully stopping a survivor until they interact with the trap, and a shorter cooldown on their echolocation ability. Pretty decent killer, but not my favorite. Although I do like bear traps because I play a lot of John Doe and Forsaken. The killer is pretty strong, but I don't see a lot of good hunters, I guess. I don't know. I just kind of run into the bear trap because I wasn't paying attention, to be honest. Next killer, which is my least favorite, is the death marker. The gimmick is you have to mark survivors by hitting them, and that gives them 60 seconds to heal or do an objective before they're force revealed, and they're pretty much dead. This killer is also very fast and super blind.
And I won't be able to detect you. It's just running, which gives me the blip. Yeah, like, I can't see shit. Is he still here?
It has the echolocation ability replaced with a force blip on the map. His character just feels kind of eh. It's two extremes. He's the fastest killer, and he's also super blind. I just think the gimmick is just kind of whatever. Every time I'm hit with it, I'm not really like... Well, I mean, I panic a little bit, but I'm just more like, oh, great, now I gotta go find a med kit and, like, bug somebody. Or I gotta, you know, go out of my way to do this, and then I just die. I'm not really intimidated by it, and it also doesn't help that the death marker has an entire game mode just for himself, that being the surviving till 6 in the morning. Personally, I kind of wish all classes play this game mode because it's fun, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. He's just not my favorite. Maybe just not my cup of tea. And then finally, my favorite class, the Carrion. The Carrion can place down little eyeballs or markers that, okay, I'm not so sure because I didn't actually get a lot of Carrion games, allow the killer to hear other people near the marker. And if the marker lives long enough, it turns to a gore nest. What does the nest do? Honestly, again, I'm not quite sure. I didn't really get a lot of rounds into it. But you may be asking, why would it be your favorite if you haven't even played the class? Look, I'm a simple man, okay? I like placing stuff. It's a cool concept. And the silliness of being able to hear people around the nest, it's an adrenaline. Also, Carrion has its own game mode, which is the Gore Nest one. It's also just my favorite game mode. You could tell I have personal opinion about some of the classes. Other than the two classes I can't get my hands on, those are really all I have to say about those killer classes. Well, other than that, I have some positives and negatives I have for the game before I finish up this video. We'll start with the positives. Game is quest friendly. That is huge because a lot of good games like this usually are PC only, like /Co and Terrors of Nowhere. So it's nice to see a game be quest friendly for once. I get to play with all my friends. Classes and items are random and there's something new every time. This is an upside and a downside, but starting with the upsides, it kind of just makes it so every game is fresh. You're always doing a new class or new this or new that. It's always random, which can be fun. Another one that's kind of underrated is that this game is optimized. I've never lagged once while playing this game, and I've had a lot of avatars turned on as well, which is nice. It's just nice. I like that. It's awesome. Stealth in the game feels like stealth, and it feels good. I like stealth games. I like how the killer is not just run really fast and kill you instantly. There's stealth in the game. That's awesome. And it's balanced stealth, too. It's not just I'm invisible all the time. It feels really good. And I enjoy a game like this. A sense of progression. I like a sense of progression. I like skill trees in video games, and this one does it pretty well. I wish there was more things to unlock in small little tidbits, but hey, I'll take any progression and no progression. It keeps me going in video games like this. Another one that I really, really like is the vibe and the lore of the game is awesome. You can collect little tapes around the map, posters and such, and they give you little lore tidbits, and it's like, oh, it's great. It's great. I love it. I love it so much. Games don't really need to do it either to like be published. You know, they don't have to put lore and stuff, but the fact that they did, it's great. I can't gush enough about it. I didn't talk about it yet, but when you're dead, you can go into something called rat mode, where you could be a small little guy and run around the map and squeak and stuff, and you can look at people and people can see you. This is awesome. I love this way of spectating games because you could do something while you're dead, and also it could be, you know, the killer can take advantage of it too, just like the survivors can. It is just, it's fun, it's silly. I love rat mode. Every single item feels useful and impactful. I will never, like, kind of groan or, like, do a side eye to any item in particular unless I'm already holding the item. Like, every single item in this game is useful, and that's, like, awesome. Again, the flash bites, the flash bangs, medkits, all of it. Every time you find an item, it's always a yippee instead of, oh, great, here's another, like, slop to my belt. You know, I guess other than the walkie-talkie, but like even then, once you get at least 2 or 3 people for walkie-talkie, it's strong. Random objectives each round feel nice instead of repair generators every time. I'm looking at you, Forsaken. I like having to do a different objective every time. Sure, there's only 5 right now, but it's something. It's not just find this, repair this generator, play my minigames. No, it's like, you know, it's like, oh, car and like bunker or smash Gordon. Like, it's great. I like this. This is good. Killers can feel good when you know what you're doing. I mean, being the big killer, you always want to feel powerful in the killer role, and you really do here. Here's the thing about other games like this: you are feared as the killer, and I think that's kind of underrated. You are like scared of. Like, the killer is always super intimidating because, again, it's a stealth game, and you will die super fast if you're not careful. And playing as the killer, it makes you feel powerful too. So as soon as you catch somebody, it's like, oh yeah, you're dead. You're dead, and it's awesome. Awesome game. I love. The killer can only see survivors with the little blips you can make. Forcing blips to bad spots for the killer is just, it's great. Usually they would just be annoying in stealth games, but here it's like incredibly useful, and I love that. That's awesome. It's not all praise though. There are some things that I just don't like or feel like could be tweaked a little bit, and that's actually starting off with the randomness. Again, I talked about it can be a good and a bad thing. Sometimes I just want to play one class and do one thing. Like, for example, sometimes I just want to play Carrion. And playing just one class is locked behind the Patreon. Now, I know the game needs to make money, and I get that. It's a free game. Everything else is free. Although I will say it kind of stinks, because, you know, I want to play the Carrion. But, you know, it also enforces, like, randomness, you know. It's got its ups and downs. Game can be confusing to new players, especially when they skip the tiny TV at the start. Yeah, I've had a lot of games when I hop into Publix where people are like, what is happening? And they just skip the TV. I don't know if that's the game's fault per se, but even in going into the game, I will see survivors just kind of stand still near the killer, not realizing that they can still see in front of them. And I'm like, well, if you read the TV at the start and read the 5 paragraphs, you would know that that's not a good thing to do. I don't really think it's the game's fault, but it's kind of sad to see that they're like, what's happening? Killer can be very disorienting to play for the first few rounds. I remember my first killer rounds. I was like, what the fuck is happening? I would be stuck in, like, the transit building, just kind of bumping into walls, not really knowing what to do or how to get out. This is why the echolocation ability is nice, but I feel like you shouldn't have to rely on that to get out of a building. But it's only for the first few rounds. I got used to it after playing more killer, but not really much you could do about this, I suppose. I don't know. Just still kind of, you know, a bad thing. One thing that's also kind of a small nitpick is that there's no killer nerfs with fewer people, like 2 to 5. So if you're playing in a smaller lobby with, like, again, 2 to 5, maybe even 4 people, it's going to be really, really hard to get that win because there's, again, less people making noise. I don't know how they would change this, but, you know, it's just something to be like, hey, watch out for this. And then finally, there's only one map in the game. I hope this will be changed in the future, which is why I'm not really too, like, critical on it. You know, multiple maps would be nice, but again, the game's just released, so I'm not going to hold it, like, crazy high. But yeah, there's only one map in the game. One map in the game, and the buildings are the same, and that's it. But yeah, that's all my positives and negatives, so I guess I'll just give my final thoughts. Overall, this game's a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it. For a game that just came out, it's a breath of fresh air for Vrchat games, and again, it being solid on performance, it's just, it's a great time. And it's also Vrchat's first asymmetrical horror game, to my knowledge. It does a solid job. It's really hard for me to, you know, again, nitpick at the bad things about it, because it's just a good game. It's great. Especially with friends, it's like, oh my god, this is awesome. But yeah, that's all I've wanted to say about the game. Again, I can't recommend it enough, and I recommend giving it a shot. I'll have the link to it in the description. And that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.